brought the event to South Africa. On the podcast, we speak to Malat Group founder and CEO Hamza Faruqi to share insights on the event, its investment plans, and what's holding tourism in SA and Africa back.
The Property Pod.
MoneyWeb, your trusted source for business and investment insights.
The Market Update, Monday to Thursday, 6 to 7 p.m.
This segment is brought to you by Omnia, your agriculture partner for more than 70 years. It's Tuesday, and that means we take a look at all things agriculture. And it's time for our AgriBiz feature, and this week we mark Earth Day, and that will be happening tomorrow. It'll be marked on the 22nd of April. It's a day where we are encouraged to be cognizant of our interaction with this incredible resource. We speak now to Ryan New. He's the managing director of the Original Grain Company, about what you and I can do to make sure that those who come behind us indeed find us faithful. Ryan, thank you very much for your time this evening. And let's start with exactly that. Is it just about what we get from the earth or what we give the earth? Can there be a harmony there?
I think there definitely can be a harmony, Rosetta. I think what's important when we look at Earth Day being tomorrow is the focus on sustainability. I think that's what's important. And sustainability is not something which we see happening automatically. It's something that needs to be shaped. And that needs to be shaped through new practices, through new technology and new policies. So I think by focusing on sustainability and making the necessary changes, then we can definitely make that change.
And you believe it's not just about policy, but it's about what you and I can do on the ground. And you and I includes industry. Maybe let's start with some of those sustainable practices that we can adopt, you and I.
So I think if you look at what sustainability is needed and how it can be put in place, there's very specific things that need to be done at agricultural level, particularly if you look at us at the source with regards to farming, and those are very practical things, and that comes down to three main areas: building living soils, which is a focus on the foundation of sustainability, and that puts into practice things like reduced tilled farming, covering the crops to prevent erosion, increased compost use, manure, improved fertility. Those are very important when it comes to building the living soils. We also need to look at the use of water efficiently. Water scarcity is a defining issue in South Africa, and at farming level, practices like drip irrigation to reduce waste, rainwater harvest are all very important ways to improve the sustainability. And lastly, it looks at diversifying crops and ecosystems. Diversity strengthens our ecosystems, and this can be done in the form of crop rotation, which improves soil nutrients, and then also looking at things like mixed farming systems, which can boost the resilience of the crop.
I hear this, and what comes up in the mind is expense. It sounds like it's quite capital intensive, more so the example maybe of irrigation that you speak of right now. And so what is it that farmers are telling you, more so emerging farmers, about the cost of doing business or the cost of trying to be sustainable, not just for the earth, but also business-wise?
Yeah, I think that you've mentioned is one of the biggest challenges that farmers face, and that's around funding. If you look at our staple food in Africa and Southern Africa, that being white maize, currently to plant per hectare and to take it through the full cycle to harvest, you're looking at a cost of about 17,000 rand per hectare. For many farmers to plant on that sort of scale, it's just not attainable, and we want to look at ways of improving that funding so that they can increase from being sort of cash crop farmers to increasing to a greater length. And funding is important. So if there was more access to things like affordable grants or even loans, which would reduce the risk of the initial investments where farmers are faced with delayed returns, that could give a lot of these farmers a much better opportunity. And that funding can go directly towards investing into things like purchasing quality seeds, improving the irrigation system, and even looking at certain digital tools. So without that capital, which is greatly needed, even proven technologies which they'd love to put in place just remain out of reach for many farmers.
AI is on everybody's lips. It is not unusual to open an app and you see a robot somewhere in China picking, harvest in the middle of somewhere. When we take a look at a continent like ours where we rely heavily on humans to actually do that kind of work, is there a threat, do you perceive, to the agricultural labor force, or are we far from this and it's not something that we necessarily need to worry about? Or is there a marrying of the two situations where we don't lose people essentially and jobs?
Yeah, look, I think we definitely are not at risk at that at the moment. I think there are barriers to entry if you want to look at technology that needs to be introduced. There definitely is a need for the innovation in farming, which would assist farmers facing the erratic rainfall and drought are the main risks. So bringing a level of technology is important, but I don't think it's going to impact greatly on the workforce. When we look at innovation, we look at ways of utilizing a more advanced soil testing for the planting of the seeds and use of fertilizer, or possibly looking at utilizing drones as a form of crop spraying as opposed to more traditional methods. When it comes to technology taking away from that labor force, I don't see that being the case anytime soon in our farming land.
Thank you so much for your time this evening. Ryan New is Managing Director of the Original Grain Company. This segment was brought to you by Omnia, your harvest, our greatest achievement.
In farming, success rarely happens by chance. But when I look ahead and surround myself with the right expertise, I feel confident in my ability to succeed.
At Omnia, we're not just a fertilizer supplier. With a holistic approach built on science, data-driven insights, and experience, we support you throughout the entire season. Your harvest is our greatest achievement.
When I partner with Omnia, I can grow with confidence.
Contact Omnia today and